Good morning, good afternoon. Hello, everyone. This is Lieu from Subtle Asian Baking, author of Modern Asian Baking at Home. Thank you so much for joining me today. We are going to make a chikiri pan or a no-knead milk bread. And when I say this is a no-knead milk bread, you really won't have to use a stand mixer. You don't have to use a hand mixer. All you need really is a spatula, one bowl. You might use your hands just a little bit, but you'll see in a moment that you won't be kneading it a lot. You will be mixing the bread. And it's a milk bread because it's made with butter and milk. So that's what milk breads are. They're a little different from your Western bread because they're less porous. They're more feathery and more delightful and chewy. And again, it has more fat content. And if you want to make this a vegan bread, you can use vegan butter instead of butter. Make sure that it's softened already. And instead of dairy milk, you can use any type of plant-based milk that doesn't have a flavor. But I'm just going to go with the flow and show you all the steps from beginning to end. If you're following along, here are the ingredients. You will need 195 grams of bread flour. And the bread flour that I recommend, and I'm not sponsored by them, but this has been the bread flour that I've been using since the very beginning. It's King Author Baking, the unbleached bread flour that's organic. And if you have a question about why bread flour is different from flour, well, bread flour has a lot of gluten and a lot of protein. And we can go into the science of it later on. It's different from all-purpose flour. So when you're making bread, you do want to use bread flour, okay? So you're gonna take your bowl, you're gonna put in 195 grams of bread flour, just dump it in. For this recipe, I actually added 55 grams of cake flour that gives it a little bit of softness. So this has less of the protein, mix it into the high protein bread flour, right? And then you just give it a little bit of a mix. For all of your breads, you want a little bit of salt component. So you could add a little bit of miso and just pretend that I added the salt in here. I forgot to put it on here. Then you have your 55 grams of granulated sugar. So this is cane sugar. It could be white sugar. You could even put confectioner sugar. It doesn't really matter. Or instead of sugar, you could use condensed milk if you want to do that instead. And this recipe is on modernasianbaking.com. It's the no-knead milk bread. And you could follow along, you could print it out, and I'll send it to you after everything is done. Okay. Then you have one egg. So a large egg is around 50 grams. It could be, if you want to make this vegan, you could use silken tofu instead of the egg. You just crack it in there, right? And this egg has been sitting out for a little bit, so it's kind of like a room temperature egg. You just drop it in there. You get your softened butter, and you want it to be nice and soft because you want it to go in there, and you don't want chunks of butter. You don't want to end up with chunks of butter. Very, very simple. You just put that in there. And the last thing you want to add in is your warmed milk and your bloomed active dry yeast. So I've only used active dry yeast for all of my breads. The only time I've used instant yeast is when I'm making pizza dough. So once it's bloomed, you know that it's alive. It chunks up and foams and bubbles because the yeast is now eating the sugars in the milk and it's like farting, right? So that's where the gas is coming from. And then if you smell it, it smells like alcohol because that's the fermentation process, right? So you make a little well in the middle, just dump it all in. And that's really it to this dough. That's all there is, all the ingredients. So again, I've forgotten my salt, but pretend that there's salt in there. If you want, you could drizzle in some. You want it to be sweeter, you can add a little bit of condensed milk. This is just a condensed milk and butter mixed together. And now all you do is you just mix this together until it forms a dough. There's no kneading because you're just really mixing it, see? You want to see if it forms together. You want this dough to be quite sticky, right? Because what we're going to do after this is we're going to put it into the refrigerator and it's going to cold proof there for about overnight, so 24 hours. You could put it in the fridge for up to 48 hours if you want. But see, that's really it. The dough is already coming together. See, it's super sticky. And if you want to go in there with your hands and just make sure it all like forms together, completely fine, right? But you really don't have to go and like knead it. Like other milk breads that I make requires around 20 minutes of kneading in the stand mixer. And I feel like the taste and the pull apart is really, really similar. So this is the dough for you if you have no time at all. Like let's say it's Sunday morning. Let me just mix it up in 5 minutes, which I already did. Like this was 5 minutes and I'm done, right? And it's all going together just like that. You just want everything to go in together cohesively. And you want the stickiness that you see here. You see that stickiness? That's exactly what I'm looking for. And that's all there is to it. There you go. That is your dough and it is all done. When you're done with that, you're going to take plastic wrap. So any type of plastic wrap. Just put it on your counter. You could spray down the wrap a little bit so that when your dough is ready to come out, it won't stick too much to it. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to dump that on top. You're just going to dump that on top of there. And that is your bread dough. You're done with your bread dough. You just wrap it up. Wrap it nicely. And you put it into the fridge. All right. And you cold proof it. Now, this is the one that I did last night. And it's all done already. So you see what I mean by it sticks? It sticks a little bit, right? This one has already cold proof in the fridge for 24 hours. So it has a lot of air in it. And at this point, you do want to knead it a little bit. Even though I say it's no knead, there is just a little bit of kneading that goes on, just a little bit. And so you just take bread flour again. You flour up your surface. So when I say lightly flour your surface, this is what you do. You can also flour up your rolling pin, just like that. And this is just a really small, easy to use, easy to handle rolling pin. Now I'm going to take my already made bread dough, and you can see that it's already very nice and sticky. This is what you're looking for, this beautiful stickiness, right? And only bread flour will give you that beautiful stickiness. So what's in there is a lot of protein and gluten structure, right? You have your yeast that's been farting all night, releasing the carbon dioxide, leavening that bread flour, right? You see the bubbles in there. But the beauty of it is when it's cooking, instead of having porous structure and a lot of air bubbles or tunnels, it's all trapped in this gluten network, right? So you're just going to get a puffy, beautiful bread, like a balloon with all the air and the gas like trapped inside. And you're going to just eat all of that deliciousness instead of seeing like it's not like a crumpet. It's not like your honeycomb cakes where it's very porous. You won't see that. See, all this structure will be gone, right? When you bake it, because those bubbles will actually fuse together and be trapped back into the gluten structure. So here's my flour. And this is the part of the process where you just knead it very, very little. So even if you have like no kneading experience whatsoever, all you do is you're just like squishing it like that. See, you're just squishing it together, making sure that all that butter that's been in there is all incorporated. And it's just so easy to work with. After you take it out of the fridge, you do want it to sit on the counter for a little bit so that it's warmed enough so that you can work with it. So it's kind of like Play-Doh, right? Isn't that beautiful? Right? The best thing you want to do is to invest in a good scale in grams, right? So what I always do is I'm going to measure out my dough and see how heavy it is. So it's 541 grams. Okay, Google, what is 541 divided by 9? So 60. So if I want 9 of these, I want each one of them to be 60 grams. And I'm just going to cut some out and then measure that. That's 45, 49, Not very good at this. Okay, that's 60. 58. 63. Okay. So here I have one piece. I usually like to split this dough into 9 separate pieces. And then I was thinking of making them into very easy croissant rolls, and I'll put them in there. Start with the easy croissant roll. My son was in the live last time, and he's in the live again. And I told him he can't spam us with a lot of comments. But he did ask a really good comment last time. So here I have a little ball. If I want it to be just ball shaped, okay, so flatten it out, right, nice and flat, like that, right? And then I just tuck everything in together like this, tuck it in, and then roll like this. And that's your bun shape, your ball shape. And then you just put it in there, right? That's the simplest way to make just a simple bun shape. Now, let's say I want to make it into the croissant roll. Super, super easy too. You're just going to roll it out into an oval shape, just like this. You see how easy it is to work, and it's so stretchy. That's what you always want to look for when you're making bread, milk bread. You want that stretchiness. I like to call it like chewed bubble gum. Okay, so you go like that. And at this point, let's say you want chocolate croissant, right? You want some delicious chocolate croissants. We could do that too. So now I have a nice oval that I've rolled out, right? But you also want a little bit of a triangle. So you're just gonna tuck in the bottom there, tuck the bottom. You see that? Tuck that. You flip it around and you roll it again, roll it out again. You want the top to be a little bit bigger and flatter, and you want the bottom to be a little bit more like a little point, like that. So you want it to look like this. Just roll it out a little bit more, just like that. Okay, you have a little bit of a triangle thing going on there. Let's say you want to add chocolate. Just put some chocolate, and you can make it into a chocolate croissant. It's not really a real croissant because you don't have all those flaky layers, but it'll be croissant shaped. So here's some vegan chocolate, vegan allergen-free chocolate. I just put it on the top here, tuck it in there, roll out the entire thing just like this. See how I'm rolling it? Pull out that a little bit. You have your cute little baby croissant. Isn't that cute? And then you're gonna put it, let's say you have a pan like this, you're just gonna put it diagonally like that. So you're gonna space them out. You're gonna have 3 up here, 3 in the middle, 3 on the bottom, okay? That's the easiest way to make your simple croissant. Let's say you want to just do a football shaped bread. So I'm just gonna show you how to shape football shape. If you wanna see how to make a loaf, that's really, really easy too. So let's say you want to make mayo bao or a cocktail bun or a coconut cocktail bun, something like that. Okay, again, you just want to flatten it out. Roll it out flat. What did you say?
No questions.
No questions. Okay, so you're just gonna roll it out just like that, right? And then you could tuck it in just a little bit if you want to. Then you're just gonna roll. You're just gonna roll it up. That's it. And then that's it. This is gonna be a little tiny bread, like a hot dog bun or a cocktail bun, and then you bake it. When they're this small, when you're baking, you wanna make sure that you're not gonna over bake it. So when they're small like this, 18 to 20 minutes, 350 degrees, that's it. Otherwise they will burn, right? When you have a bigger bread, let's say I'm gonna make a bigger one. Let's say I'm gonna make this into a pan. So if I want my loaf bread, same exact way. We did a lot of baking, me and my kid. We actually, yesterday we did we made this dough together and we made brownies. If you guys are interested, I'll show you my mochi brownies later. They're so delicious. Like they're even better the next day because mochi cures a little bit and then it gets more delicious. Okay, so that's all you do. You roll it first into a circle, then you roll it out flat into your oval shape, right? So you want to roll out a little bit more. It's very stretchy, which I love. I really love the stretchiness of the bread. That's how you get it to be so feathery. Okay, so you can again tuck in the sides a little bit like that. And then you just roll it up just like that. You get like your little bone shape. And then you just put it into your pan just like that. You put 3 of them, depending on their sizes, right? Let's say 3. They'll puff up double in size. You bake, and then you have your nice loaf. Let me just roll one more into the croissant shape so that you could see that. Okay, so again, you just want to roll it out like that. Roll it all out. You want your triangles. I already see a little bit of a triangle down here, so I'm just going to tuck that all in so I get like more of a triangle shape. And then that part, you want it to be bigger. Not the prettiest, but you get my point. Let's say you want some ube halaya, which is ube jam. You could put ube jam in there. Let's say you want this to be savory. You could put cheese. You could put your garlic butter. Okay, and then you just roll it just like that. Pull it out a little bit. And you get your cute little croissant bowl with chocolate. Okay, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna show you the finished product because I can't show you the baking part. That's gonna take 30 minutes and I don't think you'll stick around 30 minutes to watch it bake. So once you are done putting all of your bread in there, all of your rolled out shapes in there, what you want to do then is you can glaze them. So you could take a little brush and then you could glaze them with whatever you want to glaze them with. It could be with egg, then you'll get a nice shinier golden brown when it's baked. You could glaze them with a little bit of butter, right? Just making sure that they're nice wet, right? Then you're just gonna pop them into the oven and use your proof function on your oven if you have that. If not, you're gonna put them in a nice warm room temperature area, and that's where they're gonna proof for about an hour. They become nice and puffy. They puff into each other, and that's when you're ready to bake. So this one you wanna bake around 25 minutes. You watch it a little bit, or you can go up to 30 minutes, but you wanna put like a foil over them, like 10 minutes into baking, put a foil over them, otherwise they'll get a little bit brown. So put it in there to proof. They'll get nice and puffy. Let me move this stuff. And once your bread is all done, you're gonna just put them on a wire rack. So you see what I mean about a little bit brown? That's what happened. Like I baked these this morning at 9 a.m. Came down at 9:30. I forgot to cover them in the aluminum foil. So they're a little bit more browner than I like. I usually like them a little bit more golden brown than like this dark brown, but I promise you they will still taste really, really good. The glaze that I use is really, really simple. It's just 1-to-1 melted butter with condensed milk. So if you have 1 tablespoon of butter that's melted, you put 1 tablespoon of condensed milk, and then you just mix it all together. And this is already glazed with the normal glaze. It's just condensed milk and butter. Let's say you want to make a pandan glaze and make it green. You take your pandan extract, or let's say you want to make ube. Maybe I'll make it ube because today is National Ube Day. And it's also Philippines Independence Day. So I'm just going to put a little bit of the ube extract in there. Just a little bit, like a few drops. And then now I'm going to have a purple glaze that I could glaze my breads with, or you could use that as a dipping sauce. Okay. Just like that. And then you're done. You have a purple glaze now. Isn't that pretty? With ube flavor. Okay. And then you take your little brush. So messy. Sorry. And then you just glaze it on top, however way you want. Look at that. Now I am hiding the impurities of my bread. You can no longer tell that I overbaked it. And now it's a beautiful purple bread that I could put on social media. Okay, there you go. Okay, just like that. Glazing it up. Does that look nice? What do you think? I should make half purple and half green. Maybe I should have done that, but I really like that purple. Oh my gosh, that's so pretty. Like after we're done with this class, I'm just gonna send these over to my neighbor because they really love our bread. Like every time we send them bread, they're like, oh, we don't have to buy breakfast anymore. They get really happy. That's beautiful. What do you guys think? That's a glazed croissant bread. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to show you the bread pulling apart. Don't be disappointed if they don't pull apart as nicely as the reels that you see on my Instagram or my social media on Subtle Asian Baking. It's because these have been out for a little bit. What temp is the proof function in the oven? The temp is quite low. The temp is it's just a part of the function in the oven. So I'm not very sure what the temp is. I think it's under 100. I think you want your bread to proof over 72 degrees Fahrenheit, I think, but under 110. So I would be thinking it's anywhere from like 80 something to 90 degrees. Don't quote me on that. But it's this oven has a proof function already. So I'm gonna try to pull it apart. Hopefully it'll look nice. Okay, you see it? Whee, look at that. Oh, that did look good. And each one is an individual baby croissant. Look at that. No kneading with this chigiri pan, no knead milk bread. Really nice and feathery. This has been out in the open for over an hour now because, you know, this is my dummy. It's a GE oven. Thank you. I'm so glad you like it, Gretchen. So here, it pulls apart just like that. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? This is super, super simple, easy milk bread. And then let's say you want to just dip it in your glaze. Just like that. Your glaze, you could also put a little bit of vanilla extract if you want, a little bit of miso to give it a pop of umami, and then give it a little bit of a salty component. What I also like to do is if you have sea salt flake, you could just put a little bit on top of that glaze. And these are gonna be so, so delicious. Freaking delicious. Look at that. Are they beautiful? Super, super easy to make. This recipe is on modernasianbaking.com. It's a free recipe. This is not in my cookbook. The cookbook has a different recipe that requires a lot more kneading. But here it is. Here's the cookbook. Modern Asian Baking at Home. So again, my name is Kat Lieu. I'm the admin and founder of Subtle Asian Baking. So happy that you were able to join me today. For the live, I will give you the recording. The other happy thing that we had today was we were featured on Seattle Times. Lots of happy things happening. The book will come out on July 26th. It'll be released around that time. I'm really hopeful. The book is already in New York Harbor. Yeah, I'm just so grateful. So hopefully, you know, it's still out there for pre-ordering if you're interested. modernasianbaking.com/pre-order. And that is it. Thank you so much. 100% of proceeds from today will be donated to the Robb School Memorial Fund. We already donated almost $200 from the last class. We have almost $200 to donate again for this class. So thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you to everyone who has been here today. Thank you to my moderator, my husband, Jake. Thank you to my friends who are here. Thank you, thank you. I will send you the PDF of the recipe and I will also send you the full recording. And I'll see you on social media, subtleasian.baking, and that's on TikTok and Instagram. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Gretchen. Thank you, Alice. Thanks everyone who's here. Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you. Thank you. Please be sure to review the class on Tastemade. Give a 5-star review if you can. I will be in touch. Bye-bye. Thank you.